Welcome back. This week will be a historic one for both Israel and the United States. The U.S. Embassy will officially relocate from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, fulfilling a campaign promise of President Donald Trump's. Now, it's an outgrowth of his decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And while that is a significant U.S. political decision, for many, it's also seen as a deeply religious moment. For Jews, for Christians, and for those who believe that Jerusalem as a utopian ideal can somehow bring peace to this embattled region. Now, to talk more about that U.S. Embassy move, we've invited Noga Brenner-Samia from BINA, the Jewish Movement for Social Change, and David Pileggi, the rector of Christ Church, joins us via Skype. Thank you both for being with me. Noga, I want to start out asking you, because you're an educator, and how is this going to change how we talk about Jerusalem, or will it not change anything?
I don't think it's going to change how we talk about Jerusalem. Jerusalem has always been, for thousands of years, has been the focus of our spiritual aspirations, our cultural, our national identity. I think we'll continue to, Jerusalem is the capital of the modern state of Israel. That's not going to change. This move really does not have much bearing on the legitimacy. We're already an established, strong Jewish and democratic state here in the land of Israel. So I don't feel that we need this move necessarily to give us that legitimacy or that approval, if you will. I think that Jerusalem will continue to, and Jerusalem is a sacred site, as you know, for all three Abrahamic religions. It will continue to be that way. And the sooner, as far as I'm concerned, the sooner we can get to an arrangement with our neighbors and with the other religions that we share. Some we have separate holy sites, but some of the holy sites we actually share the same.
Right, or right next to each other.
Right next to each other. And the sooner we can work out an arrangement, the better. And so whether the move of the embassy will help in that direction or will hinder, that's, I guess, still to be determined.
An open question.
Yeah.
David, I want to ask you about what it means for Christians to see the United States actually call Jerusalem the capital of Israel, and of course, then to see the embassy officially move there.
Well, I think I agree with your guest in many ways that this is not going to be a significant change, although I think for many Protestant Christians, conservative Protestant Christians, there will be a certain psychological, perhaps spiritual satisfaction in seeing this happen. I think for many of those folks, especially in the United States, the fact that our country did not recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel was seen as a slight and an injustice.
Noga, do you think there is a chance that this recognition of Jerusalem and the move of the embassy may fan the flames of maybe extremism? There are, parts of a very slim minority in the Jewish world, but that, believe this could be something redemptive, and sometimes that can lead to violence and other things.
It's still to be determined. Of course, we hope that it won't have that effect. I think as educators, I think we need to go, what we try to do at BINA, right, is to look at modern day issues like this one, but look at it through the lens of Jewish tradition and Jewish text, not in a religious way necessarily, in a cultural way. And one of our ultimate kind of eternal obligations that we have in our Jewish text is to pursue peace and to seek it. We're actually told in Psalms, seek peace and pursue it, do good and not evil. And I guess we would look at this question through the lens of that commandment, and we'll ask ourselves, does this help us to pursue peace? Does it hinder us? Is this an act that will support, in modern day language, the Palestinians and Israelis getting back to the negotiating table or not? And I think we look to our friends, our allies like the United States, to support us and recognize Jerusalem as our capital, which it is, but also to help us with gestures, not only gestures of this kind, but also gestures of peacemaking and trust building is where we are right now.
David, do you think in the Christian world that there are some who will see this as another step towards, the second coming of Christ? I mean, are there some reverberations of that, do you think, or that's already there?
I think that kind of talk, especially when people in this country are talking about Christian support of Israel, is extremely exaggerated. I think there's general support in large sections of the American Christian population. By the way, the Roman Catholics, it could be folks who are Greek Orthodox. And this support often comes not because there's a particular view of prophecy, but it just comes because folks are associated with the Bible. They know the biblical texts. They identify with the characters of the Bible. And when you have a Bible reading society, such as the United States is largely, you have Christians who identify with the Jewish people and ultimately with the state of Israel. And they want to see the state of Israel do well. So I'd be careful about putting everything in eschatological terms or thinking about this as somehow going to bring the second coming. I think people want to support and bless Israel, and this is a way they believe it's going to happen.
Noga, do you think that this may help, facilitate the freedom of expression of religion in Jerusalem in any way? Because there's always, the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is always saying that Israel is protecting the holy sites in Jerusalem.
Right. Again, I think this is more of a symbolic act. I mean, the embassy in Tel Aviv is going to continue to operate as the embassy. There's been this building in Jerusalem has been there. It's not new. It's in operation already. There's a bit of a declaration, a symbolic act of recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, which again, it is. I'm not necessarily sure we need that kind of recognition at this time. It's our hope, it's our dream, and it's in our liturgy and our prayers and in our text that Jerusalem will be the city of peace, right? That it will represent peace, and that hopefully at some point in time, and hopefully a time that you and I are still alive to see it, that we'll see Jerusalem really be an open city and one that's welcoming to all religions. Citizens of the world can come and access all the holy sites, not only the ones that belong to their religion. So I think this is a little bit of a minor issue in that larger discussion.
Right. I think one interesting thing or aspect of this move is that many viewers don't really understand why it is that so many Israelis across the political spectrum, support this move. It's not just conservatives or people on the right, but you have people like Tzipi Livni, who says this should happen, that it just reflects reality.
It does. It reflects reality. It reflects the reality that every country, including Israel, has a right to determine their capital wherever it is that they choose. And Jerusalem is the capital of the modern state of Israel. But that does not, by the way, preclude the possibility that one day there might be a Palestinian state with its capital in East Jerusalem side by side. And so I think, and I hope that this might be a move in that direction as well.
Now, David, do you feel that this is going to possibly open a new corridor for dialogue between the faiths and even the parties? That's what some people claim, and others say, no way, it's done just the opposite.
No, I don't. I think it's largely symbolic. It might put Jerusalem and the situation in Jerusalem a bit more under the international microscope. I don't know whether some people in Israel will think that's a benefit or think that will actually be harmful. But I agree that, as previously stated, this is largely symbolic. And, I don't want to spoil the party, but I think what's happening in Syria at the moment with Iran is a lot more serious. And while I appreciate the United States and the president honoring his campaign promise, I would hope and pray that the Americans will be engaged in a very wise way in Syria to prevent a war and to ensure that Iranian troops and Iranian presence is diminished, even finished in Syria. I think that's what we need to keep our eye on this week. The embassy is a bit of a sideshow, I'm afraid.
Thanks, David, for that analysis. We're going to have to leave it there. David Pileggi and Noga Brenner-Samia, thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We have so much more coming up for you on the Holy Land Uncovered. Stay with us.